Hello heroes and villains, welcome to Multiverse. A question that often comes back is how can we earn source marks? And usually people will ask how can we earn source marks fast? And there's not really a fast way to be able to earn source marks, but there's a way to be thorough in order to be able to earn source marks. And also, usually people will ask that also for low-level players, like as a low-level player or as a free-to-play player, how can I gain source marks? So we will try to answer that question today. So we'll take a look at how to get source marks with a low-level player like our friend Nuclear Storm here. And then I'll log in with a higher level player, a high level character, and we'll take a look at that the very same thing. I guess the very first thing is make sure to play the vault whenever you have the chance to. So as you can see, you can earn one source mark just playing the vault. So make sure to play the vault as much as you can, but as a rule of thumb, you get source marks from on-duty missions. It's a bit different later on in the game, and also early on in the game, there's a side quest that will give you source marks. And normally, once you reach level 30, once you reach tier 1, you should have roughly 80 source marks if you did all the side missions as you leveled up your character. And then there are missions for the 80th anniversary of Superman that were added later on. So again, here there's a solo mission that you can play up to combat rating 262 that should give you source marks. And there's also, let's see, tier 1s. Okay, at this rate, so you can, up to combat rating 53, you can play tier 1 missions. And you can play tier 2 missions. But sadly, once you get past combat rating 53, then you have to play tier 2 missions and tier 3 missions in order to be able to get source marks. Often, something people will say is that they cannot get a group to be able to play the alerts. It's sad, but yeah, at this point, it's getting a bit challenging to get group either to play the alerts or even to play the 8-player missions. But 2-player missions, you should be able to get people to play those easily enough. Although there's a few missions, like the flashback missions is linked to the Lightning Strike DLC. So if you do not have the Lightning Strike DLC, you won't be able to play that mission. Although that will change next month. Next month, people will have access to everything. Actually, I'm a liar, pants on fire. We have the open episodes right now, so you should be able to play the flashback mission, even if you are not a legendary player. The same for the Ferris Aircraft. Ferris Aircraft is linked to the Fight for the Light DLC. So you should be able to play at the very least the tier 2 duo missions and the tier 2 solo missions, the tier 2 and the tier 3 solo missions. So you should be able to get source marks there. Also, once you reach tier 3, you will gain access to Central City. In order to be able to enter Central City, you're gonna have to be combat rating 53. Normally, Central City is linked to the Lightning Strike DLC, but with the open episodes, everyone should have access to it, and soon all the episodes will be free for everyone, so everyone should have access to Central City. So in Central City, you can see there's a whole bunch of missions you can play. And there's our friend here, the Flash, who also gives out a mission. And there's also bounties. Oh no, I did not pick them up. So sadly, our friend the Flash gives a mission that gives you super speed. And there's a mission also where you have to fight a whole bunch of bounties. For the bounties are spread all over the place. There's 2 bounties in Central City. And the rest of the bounties are spread in Gotham and in Metropolis. So at combat rating 53, you will gain access to the Central City missions. And then once you reach combat rating 84, if I'm not mistaken, you will gain access to Mogo's Command Center. And it will give you access to other missions. And of course, you will see a whole bunch of green lanterns. So there'll be NPCs here giving you extra missions. And if you are a hero, you are going to go to Mogo and see a whole bunch of green lanterns. If you are an evil villain, you will go to ranks and you'll be with evil yellow lanterns. Oh, here's our friend Hal Jordan. Let's say hi because we can.
Power rings are being guided to their new owners.
And you will also gain access to the Gotham Wasteland. So the Gotham Wasteland is another map that will give you access to more NPCs that will give you missions. I already picked up the missions. So basically there's our friend Cyborg who gives you a mission. There's Wonder Woman who gives you a mission. There's Zatanna. There's a John Constantine. Oh yeah, they have the new model. Ah, that is so cute. And then once you reach combat rating 100, you'll gain access to the Amazon Fury map. And as you go up and up in level, you'll gain access to other maps like the Amusement Mile, the Starro Deluge map, the New Genesis map, the Age of Justice map, the Birds of Prey, Titan Island, Metal Gotham City, Thanagar, the Wonderverse map, the Chaos Gotham map, Atlantis, Earth 3 with the evil crime syndicate of America, and the Legion map. And of course, the one we saw a bit before, the Flashpoint Gotham City map. So as you go up in level, it will unlock new maps where you will be able to play missions, and you will be able to get various missions from NPCs from those various maps, which will allow you to gain more and more source marks. Also, if we take a look at the warp menu, you go to the map menu, warp menu, you see there's the Doom Metropolis map. Let's go there. So there's a whole bunch of missions you should be able to play to be able to get source marks. You have to get started with our friend, the Star Labs Researcher Light. But once you play the mission, basically, there's a little main mission you have to play. Like, you have to talk to her, she'll give you a mission, then you have to talk to him, he'll give you a mission, then you have to talk to him, then her. And eventually, once you did all the missions once, it will unlock all the missions so that you will be able to play those missions with your character. And these are mostly solo missions. There's 2 weekly missions. There's one that you can still play solo, but you have to defeat a whole bunch of enemies. And there's another one that's a weekly mission where you have to fight some bosses. On the hero side, you have to fight Bizarro and you have to fight Cyborg Superman. On the evil villain side, you have to fight Steel and Superboy. So depending on which side you are, you're gonna have different bounties. Those bounties are pretty tough though, so you'll probably need a group or at least a high-level player to be able to play those with you. And there's also our friend Lois Lane here that will give you a daily mission to fight the evil Doomsday. So if you see this big crater here, this is where our friend Doomsday spawned. So pretty much all day, our friend Doomsday will crash here. People have to defeat him. And once he gets repelled for a short while, and then he drops again, and you have to start the cycle over again. You can farm our friend Doomsday as much as you like. There are fees for defeating Doomsday. I think it goes up to 50 times or 100 times. It's been a while, so I kind of forget. But anyway, you have to defeat him all over again. You don't have to have the mission. Whenever you defeat Doomsday, it will count towards defeat. But in order to be able to get source marks, you can get source marks only once a day defeating Doomsday. So once you defeat him once, you go back and see Lois Lane, and she'll give you your source mark. I guess you could use replay badges and unlock the mission and do it again, but I wouldn't recommend doing that. I made videos about when I played the Doomsday missions, so I'll put the link to those videos in the description down below. When you are low level, another way to be able to get source marks is that little console over here. Let's click on it. So basically we have what is known as the Toyman Missions. So you can see here the mission Toyman Times Out. So let's go to Striker Island. So once you get the mission, it activates a little portal here. So let's go over there. So it will give you 3 missions. The first mission is called Toyland. The other mission is called Once More with Rockets. And the last one is called Fun with Boys and Girls. And as you can see, each mission will give you a source mark. You can play those missions every day. So it's basically 3 source marks a day you can get just playing those missions. I won't show you those missions today, but I did make a video about those missions. So again, I'll put the link to that video in the description down below. So basically, these are the ways to be able to get source marks. Play the Vault, play the Toyman missions, play all the missions you have access to in the on-duty menu, and these should give you source marks. And there is also one more way that you can get source marks. If you look at the on-duty menu, you will see the Events tab, and in the Events tab, you have basically right now we have the Flashpoint Missions. I always hesitate about mentioning those because sadly, the event will last only until next month. So by next month, this information will be obsolete. But basically, look at the Events tab. There's always missions over here. Basically, the latest DLC missions are always over here. So you should be able to play those missions, and these should give you source marks. There's a duo, there's a 4-player mission, and there's 2 8-player missions. And at this point in time, there's a lot of people playing those missions. So you should be able to play those missions fine. But there's also missions in the Flashpoint open world. Let's go there right now. So there's a portal to go to the Flashpoint open world. But right now, as I'm recording this, you can warp directly to the Flashpoint Gotham City. We're already here, so might as well take the portal. So as you warp into the map, you'll see a whole bunch of NPCs giving out quests. Except this one. This one is a cheater, pumpkin eater. He's not a real NPC. And there is one mark you can get completely for free from our friend Flashpoint Cyborg. So let's pick it up.
We got a lot to rein in, but I know you're up to the task.
So you can see our friend Gordon. You can see the Flash. You can see Flashpoint Batman that can give you missions. There's Dr. Sarah Charles. There's our friend the Penguin over here. And there's Oracle. And there's Skeet over there. So pick up all those missions and play all those missions. Although some of those missions, I forget if it's Skeet or Oracle. One of those characters will give you a mission to go fight the evil Doomsday. For Doomsday, sadly, you will have to get a group to be able to defeat him. Although, let's go see our friend Doomsday. Why not? So normally when you come here, you should see our friend Doomsday over here. And as you can see right now, there's no one here playing that mission. If ever that is the case, what you can do is you go to the warp menu. You go to the switch phase. And then you try to find a phase where people are actually fighting Doomsday. Let's go to phase 1. It's usually a good choice. Oh, the phase is currently full. So you can see there's a whole bunch of people fighting the evil Doomsday. So you join in and you defeat Doomsday with the rest of the group. There's another weekly mission that you can play over there. Let's go see the generals. For the generals, the good thing is that there's actually 2 options to be able to play the mission. The first way you can play the mission is that you can join the other players and fight the generals. Right now we have Ocean Master and Terra. The bosses are random, so you come here, usually it's random bosses that are there. And you try to find a group to join you to be able to defeat those. If somehow you cannot get a group or your group cannot defeat those, what you can do is that, again, there's 2 ways to be able to complete that weekly mission. It's a weekly mission, so you only have to do that once a week. And if you go around, somehow they're all defeated. If you go around, you'll see a whole bunch of skirmishes. So you just defeat those. And basically, it's either you defeat the 2 bosses or you defeat 100 of those skirmishes. Yeah, I know 100 may seem like a lot, but if you do those in DPS role, it goes quickly enough, and it's much quicker sometimes. Than if you cannot find a group, it's much faster to bite the bullet and defeat those minions in order to be able to complete the mission. And there is also the Paradox Prince. Again, it's a similar principle. There's a boss that you can find in the open world that you can. So either you defeat the boss, or you defeat, I think it's 50 minions. So you see that little guy over here. You would have to defeat 50 like that one in order to be able to play the mission. We're not going to do that. And let's see if we can find the prince. So again, either you defeat the Paradox that you just saw solo. If you cannot find a group, you pretty much have to do that. But if you can't find a group, you can see there's the Paradox Prince. He's not always here. There's a few places where the Prince will spawn. So if you defeat the Prince, you'll complete the weekly and you'll be good until next week. So the Flashpoint missions are pretty much a good way to be able to earn source marks with your character. So in the case of the Flashpoint, we looked with a low-level character. Now let's log in with a high-level character. So we checked with our low-level character. With a high-level character, it's a bit similar. We still have access to the Flashpoint missions. So again, those missions will give us source marks again. So again, we can see our friend Cyborg.
Timeline that keeps taking and taking. But thank you for showing up every day.
We have all the NPC here that will be able to help you out. And you're still gonna have to go fight Doomsday. You're still gonna have to go fight the generals and all that good stuff. And that should give you source marks. And also, again, same thing, you have to go to the on-duty menu. Although here there's one distinction. On the on-duty menu, you can play the Flashpoint missions. You don't have to play the event version of the Flashpoint missions. You can play the regular version or the elite version. The same for the 4-player mission. You have the regular version or the elite version. And the same for the 8-player missions. Again, you have access to the 8-player missions. to the regular versions of the 8-player missions and the elite versions of the 8-player missions. So as a high level player, obviously your first option is to play the latest DLC, which is a Flashpoint DLC, but you should have basically the last 3 DLC should give you some sort of marks. So right now my character is combat rating 337, so I should still get marks from the Legion DLC. So you can see I can get marks up to combat rating 342. One trick that you can do, and let's take a look at the Wonderverse. Sadly for Wonderverse, the maximum is combat rating 331. One trick that you can do is that once we got the Flashpoint DLC, I could have kept my combat rating below 331. So I would still have been able to get source marks from the Wonderverse DLC. So one trick, I guess, to be able to get source marks a bit faster is that don't raise your combat rating too quickly when we get the next DLC. When we get the next DLC, try to keep your combat rating as low as possible so that you can still get source marks from the Wonderverse DLC. Eventually, though, as soon as you upgrade your gear, sadly you're going to level up and you won't be able to play the Wonderverse DLC for source marks anymore, but you are still going to be able to play it for the Splinter coins, or even for the I forget the other coin, the other currency for the bounties. So you will still be able to play the Wonderverse DLC for the Splinter coins and for the coins that you get from the bounties. And from the Legion DLC again, if you get past combat rating 342, you won't get source marks from that DLC anymore, but you will still get solar credits and again the currency that you get from fighting the bounties. So if you raise your combat rating past the combat rating 342, which I think you can if you have the Doomsday set of gear, then you're going to be stuck. You are going to only get source marks from the Flashpoint DLC. If you don't care about source marks, raise up your combat rating and doesn't really matter. But if you want to maximize how many source marks you will get, don't raise your combat rating past 331 and you will have 3 DLCs that will give you source marks. And it has to be your combat rating, not your equipped combat rating. If you remove your gear and you lower your equipped combat rating, your combat rating will still be the same. So as soon as you upgrade that combat rating past what the DLC allows you to, you won't be able to get source marks anymore. So at high level, only the last 3 DLC will give you source marks. And sadly, once you're high level, the Toyman mission will no longer give you source marks. So sadly, you can see here, fun for boys and girls, once more with rockets, and Toyland. These no longer will give you source marks. They give you the alternate reward box, which is not really worth it. So I'm pretty sure once you no longer get source marks, you're not going to run those missions anymore. For the Doom Metropolis missions, once you pass combat rating 262, you no longer get source marks. Although you still get tributes. Tributes is the currency for the Doom Metropolis missions. So playing the various quests that you get from the NPCs here will still give you tributes. So even though you don't get source marks, it's still worth playing those missions. And then you can purchase stuff from the little equipment supplier here. So you can purchase your friend Streaky the Super Cat, the Doomsday Totem. Let's take a quick look. It looks so cute. So you can still play those missions even if you don't get source marks anymore. And if you want to purchase some of the items that our friend the equipment supplier DS is selling, you will have to keep on playing those missions. So that is pretty much how you can get source marks, and there's no real fast way to get source marks. The only fast way, quote unquote, to get source marks would be again to keep your combat rating low so that you can get source marks from the last 3 DLCs. But ultimately, whether you're low level or high level, all you can really do is play all the missions you can from the on-duty menu, play all the missions you can every day that can give you source marks, and that is pretty much how you can get source marks. I know that it's not the answer that people are looking for. People are looking for a way to be able to get source marks, like press the X button 3 times and you'll get 1,000 source marks. It doesn't work like that. The only way to really get source marks is play all the missions you have access to that give you source marks, or purchase source marks from the marketplace. The only way to get source marks fast is to just buy them from the marketplace. And I strongly advise against that. Just play the missions. You'll get source marks soon enough. I know that at first it may seem overwhelming. You need source marks for everything. You need source marks to purchase styles. You need source marks for your mainframe. You need source marks to purchase catalysts to upgrade your artifacts. I understand that all too well. But eventually, you will have all the styles in the game. eventually your mainframe will be easy enough to upgrade. So eventually you will accumulate source marks whether you want to or not. So yes, early on there's a whole bunch of styles you will want to purchase for your character, but eventually once you purchase all those styles, you will accumulate source marks, I guarantee it.
I'll rip your legs from your body.